Be ye transformed by the renewing of your minds. With these words, once more, greetings to Jamaica, the diaspora, and the world. In the powerful name of God Almighty, I am the great defender. I come again to address the issues that are holding back our beloved country, Jamaica by name. The poor decisions of leadership over the years and the bad habits of some of our citizens combined have really held our country back. The entitlement mentality, I have spoken about it on several occasions, that has really prevented our people from wanting to produce. They think or somehow that whatever someone else have, they are entitled to it, and it's creating mayhem and havoc in our society. We see the series of robberies that have been taking place across the country. The beryllium is one of the targets. We see them robbing different financial institutions across the country. And this is because there is what I've just mentioned. It's called the entitlement mentality. And they think that they are entitled to what others have. But this mentality stems from a lack of preparedness, and it starts with government. And I go back to leadership, as I've always said. Our youngsters are not prepared for the challenges of the global village. And as such, they believe that everything should be given to them. And as such, they go about. Who does not want to practice extortion is practicing robbery, literally robbing for a living. There's not enough to rob for a living. You will get caught, and tragically, you will be killed. It is that serious in Jamaica at this point. We look at the entitlement mentality that even government feels entitled to power. They think they are entitled to be the government forever. But it is time the Jamaican people break this curse of entitlement. The murder for hire that goes on because other people think they are entitled to have their egos massaged, to think they're entitled to have their ego satisfied. It is a mentality that goes far and wide, and it has become more than a mentality. It is now becoming a philosophy of many Jamaicans, home and abroad. They are entitled to this, they are entitled to that, they are entitled to what other people have, they are entitled to have their bad feelings satisfied, they are entitled to see this one dead and that one dead, they are entitled. The entitlement mentality is crippling our country. And that is why I start every announcement, every speech I put out there, I have said, be ye transformed by the renewing of your minds. And that is where the problem is, in the minds of the people and in the minds of the leaders. We have to make up our mind to change our minds, to change from our wicked ways, to save our country. It is sad that a country is being destroyed by the habits and practices of its citizens and its leaders. When a father goes out there to make a living and he is shot and killed because someone else thinks they are entitled to what he earned for the day or a part of what he earned, and because he remembers his responsibilities home, he refused to give it away and he is killed just because some careless youngster who has nothing to live for or to contribute to society thinks he is entitled to what that poor man has. And he barely is making enough for himself, what says for his family. And yet, a careless boy is going to murder a hardworking man because the careless boy thinks he's entitled to what the hardworking man has. We have seen tragedy where people have traveled from overseas and set up and killed by their own family members for what they have. The same entitlement mentality, it is destroying the country. It is destroying communities. And unless Jamaica people acknowledge the bad mind, acknowledge the grudge, acknowledge the envy, acknowledge the disease of entitlement, and cure it, cure all these ills by simply renewing your mind. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. When a youngster decides that he wants to murder people, to make a living of killing innocent people who have never called him a bad name in his life, just because someone, somewhere, with a bad mind thinks that this person should die, or this person has something that they think they should have. The entitlement mentality is crippling the country. And my fellow Jamaicans, we are not looking good across the globe lately because the exporting of this kind of mentality and philosophy with some of our fellow Jamaicans who have traveled, they have taken the same mindset with them, and we are not reaping very good reputation as a nation because of the sinful acts they are doing all over the globe. You cannot shoot your way to riches. You cannot steal your way to riches. And a lot of people fight, rob, they make a lot of money, but they are still miserable. They make so much money and they are still poor because the mentality is not there to invest and build on what they have stolen. The mentality is there to use what they have stolen and what they have exploited and extorted from other people to destroy other people. They have possessed the destructive mindset. It is easy to destroy and it is harder to build. And so they go for the easier option, which is to destroy each other. That is a wild animal way of thinking. That is a crocodile mentality. And so we are depleted mentally. The mental frailty that is displayed by our youngsters is quite obvious. And so the leaders must get something in place to reculture the people, to have the people know that this kind of thinking cannot work. And so the people, especially those abroad, have got to begin to come together to make your voices heard. You have got to join a movement to let us speak in unison, because the people abroad are the most important part of the Jamaican economy. We are more important than the tourism sector because tourism basically benefits one set of people. The people abroad who sends money and help poorer relatives home are doing more for the country than any government, than any tourism sector. It has shown, data has shown that remittance is the main source of income for Jamaica. And so, therefore, we have a voice. We must speak out to our government. We would like our country to be amongst the elites of the world, to be on the podiums of the world, not in the doldrums that it is now. You look at the ghettos. These people have fought tooth and nail for political parties in Jamaica, and they are not guaranteed more than a night's dinner. The youngsters are literally wasted. They are just born to be handed over to the gang leaders to be a part of their machinery, the disposables of society. That is how government has left them to become. You can build a boy, but you cannot fix a man. And so, if you don't start approaching these youngsters from they are young, there have to be things in place to train the mind to think correctly. And if the mind is thinking correctly, the body will follow, will act correctly. Government lacks the inspiration that is needed to inspire youths to want to be better. The government lacks the motivation needed to motivate our people. The incentives are not there. And if a man sees more incentive in being an outlaw in any country, something is wrong with that system of government. Leadership is not just getting in an office and waiting on the next loan to come from overseas. We have to build the minds of our people. We must develop the minds of our people. We must figure out the way for them to think. The culture of the dancehall artists who have poisoned the minds of many of our youngsters, there must be laws on the books to prosecute people who contaminate the thinking of the youth. And our lawmakers are not working. The criminals have imposed a death sentence on all of Jamaica, and the lawmakers refuse to impose death sentence on the criminals. The judges are walking lockstep with the criminals. Nobody speaks of the victims that have been murdered, that have been robbed, that have been maimed. They more worry about the criminal, the one that committed the crime. The grieving families get no justice, and that is one of the reasons why crime is so high in the country, because everyone now has become judge, jury, and executioner. The judges in Jamaica, some of them needs to be jailed. They are worse than the criminals. I don't know how they swallow their food at night when they take the bribes they take. But obviously there's bribery going on or intimidation. The politicians that are appointed to lead that come out boasting of what they are going to do. I can tell you, Jamaica, if the programs they're coming with are not forever programs in terms of systems that if you, the parent, drop dead, there's system in place to take care of your children, all of your children, until they are able to help themselves. I'm talking about systems in place where the elderly, that a lot of relatives are struggling to take care of the sick and elderly amongst them. There must be a system in place, and I'm talking about a broad system that helps every elderly Jamaican, every sick Jamaican, every unfortunate or underperforming Jamaican until they can get on their feet. There must be a national program that does this. And there are no national programs that take care of our sick and our elderly. The entitlement mentality that even though these people are old and sick and unable to go, the politician thinks that he or she is entitled to their vote. So on election day, they send a car to take these sick people that they have never cared for. They didn't care about them when they were hungry and desolate and desperate, but they go for them to get their votes. Jamaica, it is time you open your eyes and be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Only you can fix yourself. And we can start with renewing the minds. And once we renew the minds and the way we think, the politicians will do better because they will realize that the people have caught on to the games that they are playing. With these words, I leave you for now. Like, share, and subscribe. Spread the word so it can be heard. Thank you, and God bless you. Until next time.